this is gonna be my Meps experience, and I'm sorry if I'm like looking down like most of the video, because my notes about, like, I wrote down everything that happened just in case, so I didn't forget anything. Like, I wrote it in order about like how I went through everything and stuff like that. So if I look down for like too much of the video, I'm sorry. I have a hard time talking, so and I forget things kind of easily. So I just wanted to write this down because I went to Meps like a month ago, so I just wanted to write everything down and make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, so let's get started with my shocking Meps. I just messed that up. I'm so sorry. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I just can't talk sometimes, which is horrible. Okay, so let's get started with my shocking Meps experience. So I went to Meps on February 25th. So I took my confirmation test on February 4th, and then after that I had to finish getting my paperwork done. And once I did that, my recruiter scheduled me for Meps. I went, like I said, on February 25th. So it took about a week and a half for me to get scheduled for Meps, just because of all the paperwork I had to get done and like the doctors and stuff. It was just taking so long. But yeah, so I went to my recruiter's office at, I believe, around 10 a.m. I didn't write it down in here, but it was sometime in the morning. I went to the Meps in Jacksonville, Florida, and that is about 3 hours from me. So I got there at his office at 10. I don't know what time I left, but I know that I did get at the Meps facility at around 3 o'clock. So once I got there, it was just 3 of us, and it was like the afternoon, so everyone was like already like processing and stuff like that, so it wasn't like chaotic or anything like that going in. I got there, I went through the security. I had to take my belly ring out and any other jewelry I had on. I had to put my phone away and stuff like that. We went inside, I put my bag up, and I just like carried around my folder with me because it had all my important stuff that my recruiter gave to me. So after putting my stuff up, I did pictures. They took just one picture of us, and then I sat there until oh, this is wrong actually. I did not just like do pictures. I forgot that I actually did a personality test when I got there. It took about like an hour or two because there was something wrong with the computer. So I did a personality test, and then I sat there until about 6 o'clock, and then I went to the hotel. So I got there about 3, sat for about an hour. I was probably exaggerating. It wasn't like 2 hours. I said it was about an hour. And then I took the personality test, which was just like a bunch of questions. I don't really know what it was for, but I took that test, and then about 30 minutes after I finished that, I got on the bus and I went to the hotel. I shouldn't have drank soda because I keep almost having to burp, which is why I don't drink soda that much. So when I got to the hotel was really nice. I will put in some pictures and videos of the hotel and my hotel room right here. So once I got to the hotel, we went in this room, and they basically just went through all the rules with us about like how we're gonna eat, like when and how we're gonna eat, and then about our rooms, and just like the rules about like if you leave, you need to be back by like a certain time. I think it was like 10 o'clock is when we had to be in our rooms and like laying down and starting to go to sleep. So, and then they told us what time we had to wake up, which was we had to be downstairs by 4:30. I think it was like 4:30, 4:45, something like that, to have time to eat. So they gave us our keys. I went into my room. At first I didn't have my roommate there because I guess she was like one of the last people to leave Meps, and I was in the first bus to like go to the hotel. So I got in my room, I just looked around, I took some videos, I called my parents, and I called no, I didn't call anyone else. I think I just called my mom, and then I called my dad. Well, I FaceTimed them, I showed them the room, just talked to them about like what happened that day, which wasn't really much. I just told them I took my personality test and that then I went to go eat. So the food, they didn't give me much food, and it was good food, but it wasn't much. Like, it didn't fill me up, so I ended up door dashing Chick-fil-A and eating that as well, because I hadn't like ate that whole day because I was just nervous, so I was really hungry. So the food they have gave us, like I had pork chop, and then I had I think it was like mashed potatoes or something like that, and it was good, but it just didn't fill me up. I didn't ask like if we could have seconds because I don't know why, I just didn't really want seconds. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna order Chick-fil-A. So I ordered Chick-fil-A, and then I ate that. I watched some shows for a little bit. My roommate like finally showed up. She was joining the Marines, so I found that out. We didn't talk much. She was nice though, and unfortunately I think she didn't finish the process the next day, at least like from what I saw. She didn't swear in. I'm not sure why, but she was nice. Hopefully she gets sworn in, or has been sworn in, because it's been a month now. So it wasn't really awkward. I woke up at 4 a.m. I don't remember what time I went to sleep. It was around 10 or 11. Low-key it could have been 12 because I just have a hard time going to sleep. But I woke up at 4, I showered, and then I got dressed and I made some coffee. I didn't end up drinking it because it was nasty. I don't know if I made it wrong, but like they had a machine and I tried to make it, but it was disgusting. So I just poured it out and I didn't drink it. For breakfast, they had like a little buffet kind of thing. It was a lot of food. They had like this person that was making omelets and stuff like that. Okay, so this is what you don't want to do. You do not want to eat bacon. Okay, and I'll tell you later why, but don't eat any bacon if you have blood pressure problems or anything like that. Because I ate bacon, and later on when I had to get my blood pressure taken, I had to get it taken many times because it wouldn't go down, and someone told me it was probably because I had bacon and sausage and stuff like that when I ate breakfast, which I didn't know would make my blood pressure be high, but eventually it went down. But the breakfast was really good. I didn't eat much. Like I said, I just had bacon and sausage, and I had like a little bit of eggs. I didn't really like their eggs. They were kind of nasty, so that's really all I had. So we got on the bus at 5:30. It was about, I think it was two big buses. And then we were in a ride. They had us line up. Well, okay, so we got on the bus at 5:30. We didn't get there. Well, I know we got there before 6, but they didn't open until 6. So we got off the bus at 6 o'clock. They had us line up in 3 different lines. It was a line of the people who were shipping, like going to basic training that day, the people who've been to Meps before, so they've like been there for like a physical or something like that before, and the people who haven't been to Meps before. So obviously I got in the 3rd line because I had never been to Meps. So we were the last line to go through the security. I just basically did everything that I had done the day before when I went to go check in. So we went through security, we put our bags up in the little cubby area they had, and then they told us to go to our so they told us to basically go to whatever branch we were joining's office. So they had like an office for each branch, and so obviously I went to the Air Force office, and once I got there I did, let's see, okay, I went to the Air Force office. I did my fingerprint, because like they had us do fingerprints the day before when I got there. I think that's something I forgot to say, was I did my no. Did I do my fingerprints? Yeah, I set up my fingerprint. Like, because they basically would have us do our fingerprint for like almost everything when we were checking in. So it was basically, they asked you for a finger, and then they asked you, I forgot what else they asked you for, but it was something. It was like your finger and then something else. I can't remember. I should have wrote it down when I got back, but I'm sorry. So I went to my Air Force branch office. I did my finger thing. I conformed things with him, and then he gave me a folder. My folder was red. I'm not sure what the colors mean, but my folder was red. So after that, I just went and sat in like the little area and waited for them to tell us what to do. I basically sat there for about an hour, and then they started like separating people, and then I stayed there and the people who like haven't been to Meps before, we had a little briefing about sexual assault and things like that. So after that, they started separating us from like people who like don't wear contacts, don't have tattoos, and I think that was it. Like, they basically said if you don't have any tattoos and you don't wear glasses, to get in this line, and they have them go first. And then obviously I do wear glasses, well, and contacts, and I had more than 3 tattoos. Oh, that's the thing. It's not like tattoos period. It was just like more than 3 tattoos. So if you had like more than 3 tattoos and you wore glasses, you had to stay. If you didn't have more than 3 tattoos and you didn't wear glasses, then you could go. So I stayed behind for a little bit, sat there, and then they had us line up, and they had the girls. Did they have the girls first? No, they didn't have us like separate until we got in the medical room. So basically, the Meps facility, it's just like there's the branch's office, there's a swearing room, there's the bathrooms, there's the interview room, and then there's the medical room where all the physicals and stuff happen. Like, everything happens just in just like this one little area. You just go from door to door doing everything. So once I got into the medical room, I sat there for a little bit. The first thing I did was my hearing test. So I did my hearing test 2 times because I did listen to the instructions, but I was kind of confused because the hearing thing, it like beeps 3 times, she told me. And so I thought like, okay, so I have to press for each time it beeps, and that's what I did. So like when it was over, she's like, no, that's not what you do. Just press it once, and then it's gonna start doing a different beep, and you press it again. So I did that, but apparently that wasn't good enough because I had to take it again. So I eventually had to do that again, but not in that moment. So after I did that, I went into a room of briefing, like a briefing room again, where we sat down and we signed and filled out paperwork. And then while we were in that room, we did the breathalyzer. I guess they just wanted to make sure no one was drunk, so that's what we did. And then after the breathalyzer, I went to do the urine and like the drug test and I went to do the drug test and the pregnancy test. So after doing the pregnancy test and the drug test, I went to do, okay, let me like slow down a little bit because I know I'm not going into that much detail. So for the urine and pregnancy test, there was basically 2 stalls. We went in 2 at a time. I was one of the first 2 people to go in there because I was sitting in the back and they started from the back, so I was one of the first people to go in there. They basically just watched us pee, and then, well, a lady watched us pee, and then we gave her the cup of the urine. They gave it to this people, like, there was like, basically it was like the stalls are right here, and there was a window right here that opens to other people on the other side. So we gave them our urine, and then she like took a little bit of it like with the little dropper thing and did a pregnancy test. So after the pregnancy test was done, she told us to go get our blood done. So we did the blood test. They took about, I don't remember how many like tubes they took. I think it was about 2. Wasn't nothing serious. He like asked me, he was like, have you ever fainted or anything like that? Like, did you eat? Things like that. I've never had problems with like people taking my blood. He asked me which arm I wanted it on. I did it on my right arm. I always do it on my right arm. So after doing the blood test, I went to do my vision test. So the vision test is something I had problems with. I don't know if it was because the lady didn't know what she was doing or it's because my eyes were just being weird, but they were kind of rushing me while I was doing the vision test. I don't know why. Like, I forgot to say, like, the shocking thing about my experiences, I know most people say, like, when they go, like, people have attitudes and stuff like that. No one really had an attitude with me except the vision lady and the lady who did my physical. So the reason the vision lady had an attitude with me is because I was taking a minute to, like, do my answers for the vision test, and that's just because they weren't clear with the instructions. And one of the ladies, she was in training, so she didn't know what she was doing, so it took me longer to do it than I probably would have if she knew what she was doing, which isn't a bad thing. I know she has to learn, but like they were basically rushing me, even though like I wasn't rushing them, because she was trying to figure out how to put equipment together and stuff like that and how to work it, because she was still in training. But like when it was my turn to do my test and I was trying to make sure my answer was correct, they were rushing me. They were like, okay, we don't have all day, just tell the answers, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of like weird. But I did my vision test, took a minute. After my vision test, I did my blood pressure. I did that, like I said, a lot of times. And so basically I did that about 5 times. It wouldn't go down. So I did my hearing test again because I guess it was wrong. I don't know how, but someone looked at my chart and they're like, you need to do your hearing test again. So I did that again. And after I did my hearing test again, I did my blood pressure again. But that time I did it with a doctor, and he did it like without the machine. He did it with like the handheld one, and it went down. So he just wrote that down. And then with that same doctor, I did like a semi-physical. He checked my ears, he asked me like some questions, and then he had me read a paragraph. So part of the Air Force Meps thing is that you have to read a paragraph. So I read a paragraph twice. I messed up the last time, so I didn't get that part right. I don't know if it like knocks you down from any jobs or anything like that, but I didn't pass that because I slipped up like at the very end on the second time I was reading it. So after doing like the semi-physical with that male doctor, I sat and waited for a while. To be honest, I waited for like about an hour to get my real physical done. And I did that with a woman doctor. That's the one that I said like had an attitude with me. She was basically, I was probably like the last person she was doing a physical for though, because like I had to like retake like my blood pressure and like my hearing so many times that even though I was started off as the first person, I was ultimately the last person to finish the everything because of the hearing and blood and the vision, which took too long. So I understand she was probably tired because I was the last person she had to see for the physical. But basically she had me change. Well, she asked me some questions first, then she had me change, and then she basically just like looked at my body. She looked at like my arms and everything. She she looked at my hands, she looked at my teeth. What else did she look at? She didn't look at my ears because the other doctor had looked at my ears. She then had me lay down and she looked like between my legs. She touched a little bit because I guess she had said she had to like spread it to see. So she spread it, and then she had me flip, and then she looked at my butt, and that was like kind of awkward because I was on my period when I went to Meps. So it was I thought it was a little bit weird that she had to see all that, but you know, that's the only uncomfortable part. So after I finished that, I did the last part of the whole thing with the medical side of it, which was like the duck walk and other exercises. So I basically went into this other room, and it had like a few girls in it. Besides me, it was about 5 other girls. We had to get in like our bra and underwear. We watched a video about all the exercises. We did height, weight, and then we did the little movements and things like that. I can't remember all the movements, but I will link a video that I watched before going to Meps where I practiced all the movements. I probably should have practiced the duck walk. I thought I had it, but I didn't. So because I had to like actually have the doctor help me with the duck walk, because I did not know how to do it. I thought I did, but I didn't know how to do it. Like, it looked easy on camera, but actually doing it, I didn't know what I was doing. So she had to like basically do it with me, which is kind of embarrassing, but I got it done. So, but I will link that video that shows like all the little movements we did in the duck walk. So after that, we got dressed again. I waited for the doctor to call me. She called me in the office and she was basically like, congrats, you're cleared to join the Air Force. Well, you're medically required to join the Air Force. You can go eat lunch and then come back for your packet. So at that time it was about 12. So like the time frame, I got there at 6. I finished all the medical side by 12 o'clock. So after eating, it took me about like 30 minutes. I still couldn't eat for some reason because I was still nervous, because I felt like something was going to go wrong. Even though she told me I'm medically qualified, I was like, okay, well, what if something else happens, you know, stuff like that. So after that, I went back to the room. I got my paperwork, and then I took it back to the Air Force office. So I gave them my paperwork. I told them I was done, and I got cleared. And so then one of the ladies, I don't remember her name or her rank, but she took me into a weight room. She had me lift weights. She had me lift like weights to see how much I could lift. I lifted like 60 pounds, I think. And you're supposed to be able to lift 70, which is what I heard. So I think like as far as like physically demanding jobs, those got knocked down on my list because I couldn't lift 60 pounds, which I didn't mind because I want a desk or a medical job anyways. So after lifting weights, she had me go through some questions and things like that. And then after that, I went to go do my interview and my fingerprints. And like the fingerprints, they're not like the same fingerprints that you like do when you get there to like check in. They're like actual like fingerprints that they put in the system just in case like you get arrested or something, I guess, so they can track you. I don't know, something like that. So the interview, they did basically just ask you a question. They're like, they ask you like, who do you want to be in charge of your funeral if something happens? Like, who do you want to have your last check if something happens? It's just a lot of questions. And basically just telling you that if you're lying about anything, that you can get 10 years and a fine and stuff like that. So after the interview, I signed saying, okay, everything I said was true, stuff like that. And then I did my fingerprints. It didn't take long. They were like electronic, so I didn't actually have to put like my finger in ink or anything. It was just like, it was pretty cool because I didn't have to put in ink. It was like an electronic fingerprint. She just put my finger like on a like clear screen and it just took the fingerprints, which is pretty cool. So after they're doing the fingerprints, the guy, he was like, okay, you're done, hurry up and go back to your your branch office and you might be able to be in the first swear-in. So I had to like hurry up and run because the swear-in was in like 5 minutes. And so I didn't run because I didn't want anybody to yell at me, but I walked pretty fast back to my branch office, and then I finished up the paperwork with them and I did my 4-year contract. She said it wasn't an official contract, that I will do that when I come back to before basic training, but it was just like I don't know what the purpose of it was. It's basically like a contract saying that I'm in the Air Force now and this is how long I might be in, but I can change it later on to like more years if I want to. Like if I decide like, okay, I do want to do 6 years, I can change it before I go to basic training, is what she said. So I did that, and then I went to the swearing room where he gave us a briefing again about basically just the swearing and like the little movements we would have to do when we swore in, and basically telling us what we're gonna say. Not like everything of what we're gonna say, but just well, no, he did say the whole thing and told us like what we're gonna say, but he said that we'll be like repeating it from the person who was gonna say it to. So I was the first person in line, so I had to like follow his like little instructions. Like I had to walk my hands like this. I had to stand at attention once I got to the front. I had to walk. He told me to walk. He told me the exact steps. He was like, walk. I don't remember how many steps it was, but he was like, okay, walk to this point and then turn right and walk forward, and then at the flag, I forgot what flag it was, turn left and then walk all the way to the end of the walk like all the way to the other flag and stop there. And then we just stood there. They started saying all the stuff that I don't remember, and then we put our hand up and we put our hand up, said everything, and then we put it down. So after that we did more paperwork, and then I think that was it. After swearing in, I went back to my recruiting office. I went back to my branch office, and she gave me a list of all the jobs I qualified for, and then after that I basically sat down and watched Catfish on the TV, because they had TVs too for us to watch while we waited, which was a nice thing, because I know a lot of people complain about just sitting and waiting for hours, but they have TVs. At least they did at the Jacksonville. So they had TVs and they put like movies and stuff on, so we weren't just sitting in silence and stuff like that. I'm sorry I say stuff like that a lot. I'm probably gonna like watch this video and be like, what the heck, like why do I say that so much? But they had TVs. I watched Catfish for about I swore in at 1 and I didn't leave till 3, so I watched about 2 episodes of Catfish, and then I left. So I'm sorry, I'm really bad at talking. My Meps experience, it was definitely not what I expected. I expected it to be very scary. I expected people to be yelling at me and things like that, but I did not get yelled at. Everyone was really nice except like the 2 people that I mentioned, and obviously I'm not like holding that against them, because I understand like people have hard days at work, so I understand attitudes occasionally. But that was my shocking Meps experience, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just let me know. You can hit me up on my social media. The best one to reach me at is my Instagram. So you can, if you have any questions, you can just message me on my Instagram. And if you didn't watch my other video, I do want to mention that how long the process took for me. So I took my ASVAB January 24th. I took my confirmation test February 4th, and then I went to Meps February 25th, and then I got my ship date, which is April 28th. So the whole process of me joining the Air Force took about 4 months, and I went open general, which I will be talking about in my next video, about like what open general is, I guess, and like why I did open general and why I wanted to join the Air Force. So I'm excited to like post more videos about the Air Force as like I go through this life journey and things like that. Dang, I found a new word and stuff like that. I said things like that. So, but yeah, that's really all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions, definitely just hit me up and I will answer any questions. Or if you like need advice or anything, even though I haven't been through anything yet, I can still give you some advice about Meps, I guess, and the ASVAB, and like talking to recruiters stuff too. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment. I always mess that up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!